Welcome back to Awesome Possum Hobbies and Games. I got another mail order. Let's check it out. So here is the order I have for this week for TCG Player. All these are from non-direct, and unfortunately, only one had a list. So it took me a while to go through and organize and make sure I got all the cards I was supposed to. But let's go ahead and start with the first one. I went through and organized them by color, just so it'll be easier for people to keep track of in case they want to go through and steal some of these ideas, or if you guys have any comments or questions, put them in the comments below. So let's go ahead and get going. First one is Ugin's Mastery. For 4, it's an enchantment. Whenever you cast a colorless creature spell, manifest the top card of your library. Whenever you attack with creatures with total power 6 or greater, you may turn a face-down creature you control face up. That's huge, especially if you're playing with all Eldrazi deck, or Eldrazi with some colorless artifacts. You are able to start going through and flipping those spells pretty quick. Next card is From the Rubble. From the Rubble is 2 white, 4 colorless enchantment. As From the Rubble enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. At the beginning of your end step, return target creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield with a finality counter. So I can't wait to put this in a vampire deck. Next one's Heavenly Blade Master. It's an angel for 1 white, 5 colorless, flying, double strike, 3/6. When a Heavenly Blade Master enters the battlefield, you may attach any number of auras or equipment you control to it. So you're able to go through and take everything that's attached to everything else and just throw it underneath her, and then other creatures you control get +1/+1 for each aura and equipment attached to Heavenly Blade Master. So it's everything else you have will get bigger, and it will become your big beast with double strike. I'm going to be putting that in my white-red equipment / enchantment deck. Corsairs of Umbar. I got a couple of copies of this card. This one specifically is a human pirate. So this is going to go in a pirate deck for 1 blue, 3 colorless, 3/3, and for 1 blue, 2 colorless. Target goblin, orc, or pirate you control can't be blocked this turn. Whenever Corsairs of Umbar deals combat damage, you get to amass orc 3. So you're able to go through and start making orcs even bigger. So if you have once you get through once or twice, you're going to have a 3/3, a 6/6, etc. Full art counterspell. I'm a big fan of the full art cards. I prefer them in my most of my decks. I like having my lands at least be a full art when I'm playing standard. When I'm playing in Commander, I like having the extra look of without having any of the borders on most of my cards. So I just bought some counterspells. Court of Cunning. I'm actually going to put this card's a pretty interesting card for 2 blue, 1 colorless enchantment. When Court of Cunning enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, any number of target players each mill 2 cards. If you're the monarch, each of those players mill 10 cards instead. To mill a card, a player puts the top card of their library into their graveyard. So I'm actually going to be targeting it myself with Graveyards Matters deck, with my blue, black, and green Graveyard Matters deck. Next card, Enigma Jewel, full art. Of course, this is a standard legal card. A legendary artifact for 1 blue. It enters the battlefield tapped, and then you could tap it to produce 2 colorless mana. Spend this mana only to activate abilities, and then you can craft with 4 or more other non-lands with activated abilities for 1 blue and 8 colorless. And it flips over to begin Locus of Enlightenment. Legendary artifact, Locus of Enlightenment. Each has activated abilities of exile cards used to craft it. You may activate each of those abilities once each turn. When you activate an ability that isn't a mounted ability, copy it. You may choose new targets for it. I don't know what I'm going to be playing this with. This is going to go in a Commander deck somewhere, but it's still to be seen, so can't wait to see how that goes. Next card is Wave Goodbye. 2 blue, 2 colorless sorcery. And this is from the newest Commander set from Lost Caverns of Ixalan. For just 4, you get to return each creature without a +1/+1 counter on it to its owner's hand. This is going to go to my Entrexa deck or in my brand new Merfolk deck. We'll see. Altar of the Wretched. I got one of these last time. I've got 2 Graveyard Matters decks, and I'm going to put one in each of my Graveyard Matters deck. For 1 black, 2 colorless, artifact. When Altar of the Wretched enters the battlefield under your control, you may sacrifice a non-token creature. If you do, draw X cards, then mill X cards, where X is that creature's power. Craft with 1 or more creatures for 2 black, 2 colorless, and then for a black and 2 colorless, return Altar of the Wretched from your graveyard to your hand. So you're able to continually, if you go through and sacrifice it, or if it's been milled somehow, you're able to get it back into play. And then once you go through and flip it, it becomes a Wretched Bone Mass. Wretched Bone Mass is a creature skeleton with a star. Wretched Bone Mass power and toughness are equal to the total power of exile cards used to craft it. So if you have milled 10 cards and you go through and get rid of 8 of them, which are all creatures, it could be a doozy. And Wretched Bone Mass has flying as long as the exile card used to craft it has flying. And then the same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Haste, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Menace, Protection, Reach, Trample, and Vigilance. So it can be a bruiser. It can be a big-time finisher. Next one's Preacher of the Schism. I think this has a chance of being a great standard card. For 1 black, 2 colorless, is a 2/4 Death Toucher. Death Touch is a fantastic ability. I think after the next time we have some kind of rotation, this card could be seen being played in a 2-color deck or even just a mono black deck. For a 2/4 Death Toucher, having an extra ability, it gets even better. Whenever Preacher of Schism attacks the player with the most life or tied for the most life, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with a lifelink. Whenever a Preacher of the Schism attacks while you have the most life or tied with the most life, you get to draw a card and you lose 1 life. So if you're tied with your opponent, you get to go through and create a 1/1 token, and then you'll lose a life and draw a card. So it's really can build your board state real fast. For only 3 mana, if you start attacking with it on turn 4, you can either be forcing your opponent to chump block with a bigger creature, or you can go through and just start drawing cards or making creatures, or a combination of both. And I got 3 of those full art because I'm a big fan. I think a card, like I said before, it can see some standard play. And if not, I'll have at least 1 copy for my vampire deck. Next card is Skeleton Crew. For 1 black, 3 colorless creature, Skeleton Pirate. Each other creature you control that is a skeleton or a pirate gets +1/+1. Whenever 1 or more creatures cards leave the battlefield or graveyard, create a 2/2 black Skeleton Pirate Crew token. And then for 6 mana, 1 black, 5 colorless, return Skeleton Crew from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. It's interesting. Stalactite Stalker. 1 black, creature, goblin, rogue, menace, 1/1. So if you could get this out first turn, it's a first turn drop in standard, it has potential with Descend to become an absolute beat sticks. Because at the beginning of your end step, if you descend this turn, you get to put a +1/+1 counter on Stalactite Stalker. And then for a black and 2 colorless, you get to sacrifice a Stalactite Stalker to target creature gets -X/-X, where X is a Stalactite Stalker's power. So if you have a pump ability, or if you've gone through and you've decided enough times, this can become a 3 or 4 or 5. And when your opponent goes through and targets it, you can go through and just sacrifice and take out one of their creatures. So it really becomes a 2-for-1. Court of Embereth. This is going to go in my white-red token deck. For 2 red, 2 colorless enchantment. When a Court of Embereth enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. And then the kicker part is, at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 3/1 knight token. Then, if you're the monarch, Court of Embereth deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of creatures you control. I don't really care about the second part, but being able to get a 3/1 creature every single turn can get devastating. It can get really devastating. Because after 3 or 4 turns of it being in play at the beginning of your upkeep, you're going to have 3 or 4 more creatures. And for 4 mana, that's not bad. And then on top of that, if you have a second outlet, you're able to get rid of those creatures. or you can go through and just create a pile of tokens to be able to attack with, or there's many things that can happen. I think this is a cool card. I can't wait to play it. Faithless Looting. This card's been around forever, and it is a fantastic. I got this because of the fact that it is a full art, and I needed 1, 2, 3 more full arts. String Sliver. From my last video, I said that I was going to start working on a sliver deck, and this one is just an additional sliver. For 1 red mana, 1/1 sliver creatures you control have first strike. Contest of Claws. This is a cool card. This is going to go in a commander deck having to do with dinosaurs. For 1 green, 1 colorless sorcery, target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to another target creature. If excess damage was dealt this way, discover X, where X is that excess damage. So if you're going to be hitting something with a big dinosaur, 5 to a 3 or even a 2, you're able to go through and get an extra a 2-drop or a 3-drop quite easily. And then if it's late game, if you have one of those big 10 power creatures and you just target something that's 3 or 4, the odds are pretty good of being able to do a Discover 4, 5, or 6. That's pretty cool. Dinosaur Egg, another card for the dinosaur deck. For 1 green, 1 colorless. This is another commander card. 0/3 Evolve. When Dinosaur Egg dies, you may discover X, where X is its toughness. So if you're able to go through and evolve it a few times, which with 0 power, most likely you're able to do that 2 or 3 times. It becomes a 2/5 or a 3/6. 6 is huge. Kendama's Reach, again, another one of those full art cards that it goes in a lot of different decks. I got one for the dinosaur deck, another one just for another deck. Sunfrill Imitator. This is another commander card that is going to go in my dinosaur commander deck. For 1 green, 2 colorless, whenever Sunfrill Imitator attacks, you may have it become a copy of another target dinosaur you control, except its name is Sunfrill Imitator, and it has this ability. It's a 3/3 for 3. That's not horrible. Palani's Hatcher. For 1 green, 1 red, and 3 colorless, this is a 5/3 creature dinosaur. Other dinosaurs you control have haste, and then Palani's Hatcher enters the battlefield. You get to create 2/0/1 green dinosaur egg tokens. And then at the beginning of your combat, on your turn, you can sacrifice 1 or more egg. Sacrifice 1 or more eggs. You can sacrifice an egg, and then you get to create a 3/3 creature token. Singer of Swift Rivers. I got one of these previously last week. I didn't realize I ordered another one, but here, this is another Merfolk card for the Merfolk deck, having to come from the Last Caverns Ixalan Commander set. For 1 blue, 1 green, 1 colorless, it's a 3/2 flash. When it enters the battlefield, put a shield counter on another target creature you control. You may cast Merfolk spells as if they have flash. Next one is a full art Eye of Ojur-Tak. You can tap it to produce a mana of any color, or you can craft with the 2 cards that share a card type. And then crafting it transforms it into the Apex Observatory. It's an artifact. Apex Observatory enters the battlefield tapped, and as it enters, you get to choose a card type shared with 2 exile cards. Use to craft it. Tap it. The next spell you cast this turn of the chosen type can be cast without paying its mana cost. I'm actually going to be putting this particular one in the either the dinosaur deck or the Merfolk deck, just because you're able to go through and make more of your cards flash. Flash is just huge. You're able to play at the end of the last player's turn before yours, so you're going to be able to get an attack if they don't have haste, or you're able to go through and play it to change the board state for a blocker, or there's many different things. Last card is Search Foil War Room. These are a pretty good deal right now, and I have a feeling that the Search Foil ones will go up in value over time. I did not buy it as a spec card, but I bought this because of the fact that I already bought one for the Eldrazi deck. I bought this one for mono red deck because red needs ways of drawing cards, and War Room is a fantastic way of drawing cards because you pay 3 and pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's color identity to draw a card. Paying that 1 life for a single color deck and having 3 in another land, that's a great way of being able to draw cards late game. So this War Room is going to go in that mono red deck. And that, of course, that is the end of my my mail for the week. I hope you guys enjoy this. If you have any questions, please list them in the comments below. If you have any suggestions for any of the decks I have listed, put them in the comments below because I would love to see them. And then on top of that, if you like this type of video, please like and subscribe. And until next time, keep them rolling. And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please take the time to like the video and subscribe if you'd like to stay updated. Have a great day and keep them rolling.